afternoon, everybody, and thank you so much for joining us today. It's like being in a rose garden. So many beautiful ladies joined us. I'm sure there is one gentleman by now, but there might be more. But it's like being in a rose garden, and thank you so much, Lucy and Sarah, for joining Miya and myself today. And I'm sure you will have a lot of stories to tell about the perfumes you're creating or selling. And so I think we'll have some questions, and please everybody write your questions in the chat, or if you would like to speak personally and be seen in the chat, just write it down in the message to Miya or to myself, and we'll let you in. So, Lucy.
Hello.
Can we start with you, please, because you joined first? So I'm sure a lot of people tried your perfumes, but not everybody knew how to match the face to the fragrance.
No.
And you've got a lot of talents.
Well, thank you.
One of them, you're an actress.
Yes.
You're a film director.
Yes.
And you call yourself a perfume designer. Is that right? Is that correct?
Well, some people call me a perfume designer. I would call myself a perfumer, but a lot of people call me a perfume designer because I haven't been to school. I mean, not perfume school. So even though I compose all the perfumes myself, some people will call me a perfume designer as opposed to a perfumer, and they make that distinction.
All right. Good. Sarah.
Right.
Sarah, what about you? Because I saw that you collaborate with the different perfumers, and do you make perfumes yourself?
I have, yeah, I've made a few perfumes myself. I've not released any yet. That is definitely in the pipeline right now. I've got one that is ready for release, so I'm really excited about that.
We are.
Yay. But yeah, and I'm doing like, so I did a lot of classes with Sarah McCartney at 4,160 Tuesdays. And now I'm doing some with Ashley Eden Kessler, who is like the person who's, she runs most of the classes at the Institute for Art and Olfaction in LA. And I've always wanted to take those classes, but now they're available, which is really cool because of the, lockdown situation. So they now have like Zoom classes, which isn't the same, of course, because you can't like make stuff. But I found as a creator of perfumes, actually one of the first challenges for me was figuring out what materials to get, where to get them, and those types of hurdles. So those, not so much the blending and the mixing. I feel like that is more, I'm an artist, so I come from a creative background. So I feel like mixing and blending and making is probably something that is more within like my wheelhouse, and actually like the more technical things of like what lab materials you need, and where to get your scent molecules, and where to start. I mean, there's so many thousands of different things that you can get. So how did you get started, Lucy? What kind of drove you to start creating?
My husband bought me a book for Christmas, the Lizzie Ostrom book, The Century of Scents. And I wanted to know what everything smelt like. And Lizzie's book is fabulous because it's anthropological and sociological, and it tells you so much about what's going on. And I loved it, and I was frustrated with it in equal measure because I wanted to know what these things smelled like. And so I went back and I started digging, and I started trying to find what were the things that made these first scents so extraordinary. So things like heliotropin and vanillin, and things that were amazing at the time and revolutionary at the time. And so I managed to get a kit of aroma molecules, aroma chemicals, and I already had essential oils. I was already qualified in aromatherapy, so I already had a lot of essential oils, and I just started playing. And then I taught myself the EU regulations, the INFRA regulations, and really went from there.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm impatient, so I just started fiddling about.
These days, there's so much information online, and I mean, you can the INFRA database, and there are ways of finding.
It's all there. Should you want it? Should you want to sort of put the work in it and get that information? It is all there for you.
Okay, very good. Lucy, moving on to that, for someone looking to get into perfumery, they want to start making, even just for practice at home, what would be your advice to them?
I would say, first of all, I would look at some of the EU regulations, the ones which are really kind of strict, things like levels of methyl eugenol. So make sure you stay away from the really kind of high irritant molecules or materials, naturals, like don't put an awful lot of orange in something because it can be phototoxic. Don't put oak moss in something to nth degree because there is a chance that it might irritate. Don't put a massive amount of rose in your perfume because that has something called methyl eugenol in it. I know, but you've got to be really careful with the rose that you have, because all roses have something called methyl eugenol in it to a certain degree. And methyl eugenol is not just a carcinogen, it's also a mutagen. So it means that if you are nursing or if you are pregnant, those things can go into your fetus or go into your baby. And that's just not a good idea. It's just not. Just because something is natural doesn't make it safe. So I would say safety first and foremost. You've got to get on board with that. Things smell wonderful, but you have to make sure that you're safe.
Brilliant. Just to add on to that, so ideally you would recommend someone to have a know-how of the ingredients before, would you say that someone should maybe study chemistry before they can get started? Because I don't know, if I'm sitting at home.
I haven't studied chemistry, Maya.
No?
No.
Wow, there is hope.
Chance to everybody, go, yes.
Okay.
Explore your talents.
Yeah, I mean, there are people who do amazing courses, like Sarah McCartney, like John up at Cotswold Perfumery, I think does one. There are a lot of courses that can be done, and they will all tell you about safety. That's one of the first things that they will tell you. A lot of the time as well, they will only give you a sort of set number. I mean, Sarah, you've done Sarah's courses, but I'm assuming she just gives you like sort of 10, 15 things which are already diluted, probably to about 10 or 15% that you then mix. And so there's no chance that you can overdose on something.
Okay.
I mean, well, I mean, in her case, I'd say she's got a lot more than 10 or 15 things.
Oh no, she has, but the ones that she gives you to when you're mixing, that I know she's got fucking.
Oh no, but I mean in her workshop, she's
got loads.
She gives people access to like much more than 10 or 15 materials, which is really cool. I mean, I've taken a different kinds of workshops with her. So I did a 5-day one with her. I guess that was 2 summers ago now. And yeah, that one we smelled hundreds and had access to hundreds of materials, really. And then I think, like I did make something which was not INFRA compliant at the level that I wanted it to be at. So I had to alter the formula. So in that, yeah, I guess in that case, it was just a matter of, like kind of knowing which ones, as you say, to kind of be wary of.
Yeah.
And then going and making your formula as you would, and then finding out if it's okay to have it, or what dosage, essentially, what percentage dilution it's safe to have at if you're going to sell it.
Yes,
maybe you're not
absolutely.
going to sell it, or in that sense, obviously you have to test it on your skin and see if I have definitely had reactions on my skin from various samples that have been sent to me and various things. So I know that I have allergic reactions to some materials. I think pine is one of the ones that gets me. But which is a shame.
It's probably the terpenes in the pine that do that, because they can be quite aggressive.
I've seen someone selling online, and they've pointed out that this fragrance is obviously not compliant with the INFRA regulations. I don't know, is that allowed?
Yes, it is. It's allowed. What isn't allowed to sell certainly in the UK or in the EU are things which aren't EU compliant. EU regulations are sometimes stricter than INFRA and sometimes not as strict as INFRA. But EU regulations are some of the most stringent in the world. And if you're selling in the UK, then you have to make sure they're EU compliant.
Hopefully not for long.
Who knows?
Who knows?
Did you have to reformulate any of your perfumes since the change in the INFRA regulations?
Me?
Yes.
No.
You have to.
I think no. I would have thought not, because by the time you made your perfumes, they had already made lots of changes, because the changes came in earlier.
The changes came in when I first started. It was on the 48th regulation amendment, and now we're on the 49th, and things have changed.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, some things get lower, some things get higher, but it's
what was your first perfume?
Samadia Paris.
Samadia Paris.
Oh, it sounds like a perfume that has a lot of story in it.
It was a love letter to my husband, so it was there is, yes. It was a love letter to my husband, and we used to have a flat in Paris just off the Rue Claire in the 7e, and I wanted to do something that reminded him of waking up then on a spring morning.
Did you make this perfume after you filmed your husband in the movie?
Yes.
Oh.
This is amazing. When a husband and wife are working together, and they stay together after having worked together. They do not split because they say that business together is really hard. Let's say hi to Anjam. Anjam joined us.
Hello everyone. Happy Sunday.
Hey Anjam, how are you?
I'm fine. How are you, Lucy? Long time no see.
Yeah, long time since you came here.
Yeah. How are you?
Very well.
Very good.
Awesome.
You look very well. Hello everyone. Hello Olga. Hello Miya. And I don't think I've met you, Sarah.
We've not met. Hello.
No, we've not met. How are you?
Sarah, meet Anjam.
It took me a while getting in. How are you all doing today?
Anjam is from the industry as well, so she's got a lot of interesting questions, and well, you're more than welcome. You're more than welcome. I'm so happy to see you. So I've got a small trailer of your movie, because I'm so excited about you being so talented in different areas. If you don't mind, I can show you just 30 seconds of the trailer of the movie you made.
Absolutely. I have to warn everybody, it was 13 years ago.
It's excellent. It's a great movie. And, don't worry, I will share the screen.
Morris dancing. Seemingly an innocent pub pastime involving hanky-waving bearded men. Or rather, is it an aggressively contested contact sport, beset by politics, intimidation, and resistance to change?
Change is a good thing, provided it is managed properly.
I live for it. I breathe for it. To be honest, I die for it. In fact, a number of people I know have actually died doing it. Morris is a life's work. You know, when the Morris calls you, you have to be prepared for it to take over your life, for it to consume you.
I mean, it's better than drugs, ain't it? Although sometimes I do wonder whether it is a drug, the grip it seems to have on all of them. Nigel is ready for you, darling.
Lovely. She all warmed up.
Oh, like the cockles of my heart. What's she like?
Oh! Good morning, Professor Chamberlain, Ma'am.
Morris is quite simply a phenomenon.
Talking of which, boy, you're running dangerously low there.
No, really, I can't drink any more, really.
Bollocks! We only just started.
You put 40 kit in the hands of a top-flight Morris man, and you might as well be giving him a license to kill.
Now remember, it's 4, 2, 2, 1, 1, 1, 1, 4, 4 and 3/4. Everybody got it?
Got it. 3, 2, 1.
140 stave, 1 loose bell. Someone will end up in hospital, guaranteed.
I can't even do a simple tubs of lard for my old lady.
Listen, there is nothing simple about the tubs of lard.
Right now, the emails from Morris are virtually dancing with steel hankies.
Does Morris need to change?
Yes.
He too is interested in the dance world beyond Morris. Some would say unhealthily so.
Oh, nice. One day he's going to push him that bit too far.
Welcome to New Morris!
I was just going to say, looking at that piece, it just reminded me of a piece that Sarah has done. I don't know, Olga, if you had seen the Versace campaign, Sarah, she actually starred in it and she directed it. I don't know if you got a chance to see it. I'm not sure. Did you? And can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. I want to see it. Can I see it?
I'll try and look it up. I don't know if
I can find it. But I love that film. That looks amazing.
Thank you.
I can't wait to watch it.
I'm a huge fan of silliness, so I
Who isn't? Who isn't?
So you directed that, or did you write?
Yeah, I did.
Write it as what
I directed it.
Really good.
I produced it.
Sarah, are you able to add for the Versace campaign that we can see it?
Yeah, it's going to take me a second to find that.
That's fine. Take your time.
Okay.
Yeah.
I loved so much my mascara bleeded. So
I'm definitely surrounded by talented ladies today. Amazing talent in the house.
Wow. Yes.
Yeah. Anyway, moving along as we wait for Sarah to upload. I know she's trying to. The thing is,
I found it now. It's just a matter of share. I've never done a share. I'll just. There's actually a few videos.
Yeah.
But just to kind of keep it simple.
Dear Donatella.
Yeah.
I will. I'll just show the. I'll just show the 1 minute. Director.
Dear Donatella.
Sorry.
My daughter is watching quite a few times.
Okay, let me just figure out how to, I've never shared a screen before, so I have to.
There's a button, share screen, yeah?
Yeah, oh, okay. Yeah, oh, we're good.
Great.
Ooh.
Okay.
Oh, I love this fashion. Oh my God.
That is
awesome.
Okay, here we go.
Dear Donatella, I almost lost everything. First came the blackmail note. You did not write Spritz me. I did write that song the night Angelo died. I confronted his ex, the Baroness, and she told me Angelo is alive. Angelo survived the crash, recovering from amnesia. When he heard my hit song, Spritz me with your love. He wanted money. He conspired with his accountant, Jacob, to take down my empire, Narcissus Records. Jacob even proposed to my daughter, Cairo, in order to frame me for tax evasion. I tried to reason with Angelo, but I got arrested. Luckily, the Baroness is a world-class spy. She sprung me from jail, proved Jacob a fraud, and had Cairo's wedding annulled. She saved Narcissus Records. Like you've always said, strong women need to support one another. Love, Angelina.
Wow. Wow.
That is wicked.
This is amazing. Oh, I didn't know about this talent of yours. But
I thought you had seen this.
No, I haven't seen that. No, but I repeat, we are in a beautiful rose garden right now. Look at all these talents and this gorgeous people just doing really, really beautiful stuff. And I really missed this fluffy hair, because I had something like this with my first.
Okay, I've got fluffy hair.
You don't need it. Yes, you have it.
I've got the DIY Corona cut at the moment.
Oh, bless.
So you know, actually, there's another perfumer who's in this book. So this is actually a book.
Oh
yeah.
So it's like a sort of coffee table photo book.
It's available. It's available in the bookstores.
Yeah, it's available in a few bookstores. So it's filled with pictures. But what's really interesting about this conversation is, too bad Helena Christensen couldn't join us, because you know that she has a perfume brand as well, Strangelove NYC.
Oh, of course she does.
Yes, and Perfumes are at Harrods, I think, aren't they? I think they're, if I'm not mistaken, I think they have them in.
Yes, they are on the 6th floor. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
Salon de Parfum.
So,
well, maybe somebody who joined us or who will watch this video doesn't know the perfumes you make. So let's start with Lucy, a little bit about your collection, your, let's say now, classical collection, and your new natural Naikii collection as well.
Yeah, the first one, La Maison Hedonique, done House of Hedonism. It's just all about pleasure. And
I can
So
I agree with you.
Carry on.
And it started with Samedi, and then I had 4 when I launched. So I had Samedi, I had Apéro, I had Comme un Loup, which I know, Olga, you love. And I also had Surf Blanc, which is my real kind of leathery whiskey, sort of rock chicky type. Somebody said it reminded them not so much of the Walk of Shame as the Stride of Pride, which I quite liked, because it's the sort of scent that you wear if you are walking home at 3 o'clock in the morning and in your stilettos and you just don't care.
Would I walk home in my stilettos? I'll probably take them off.
And then I started launching a few more. I launched Insai, which I know you're very fond of.
I love Insai.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
Can I let you in on a secret?
Yeah.
I was shooting a video and these 2 beauties, they made it in the top 10.
Oh, wow. Wow,
Okay,
Maya.
great.
I'm really touched.
I
can't
can't wait for people to see that, because I think it's going to be very exciting. And everyone who thinks they know me, I think they're in for a surprise.
Well, oh my God, I'm touched and I'm honored, and quite humbled actually to be in your top 10. I also did one which is a really interesting one, because it's using a molecule which a lot of perfumers use to give what's called a first sniff effect. And what it does is it kind of twists all the other perfumes, and it's called RDR, mine, and it's my joke because it stands for Rien de Rien, which means absolutely nothing. Because it smells of nothing on a blotter at all, but once it gets on your skin, and my God, it does extraordinary things. I mean, Maya, you've been in the room with me when I've sprayed it on about 14 different people, and they all smell radically different. So it's a great twister. It's a great one to use with your current perfumes if you got a bit tired of it, or if everyone else has bought it, then you can spray that on and give it a real kind of personal twist. It makes everything bespoke, which is, I think, fabulous. And then
the show is not listening to us with his molecule, eccentric molecule.
And then I did 2 with the Countess of Carnarvon, because I rent a house. Olga, I know you've been here. Maya, you haven't been here yet. I rent a house on the Highclere estate, which is where they film Downton Abbey. And Lady Carnarvon is my landlady, and she wanted to do a couple of scents in collaboration. And so I did 1793 and Lorato. And I know you're both fans of 1793, which is, Olga is the Rose Queen. She is the Rose Queen, so anything with roses in it I know she will love. And this is a very different, although it's a musky rose, it's very green, so it's very natural, it's very dewy, and settles on the skin really, really prettily. So those are my ones for La Maison Hedonique. And then I have started an all-natural, alcohol-free, all my stuff's vegan anyway, but I sort of made a point of saying that these are vegan, and it's called Naikii, which stands for natural, naked and kind. And they are alcohol-free and completely 100% natural. And they're proving really, really quite popular at the moment. A lot of people seem to be enjoying them. I've sent some to Singapore, I've sent some to Australia. And as I haven't put these in for retail at the moment for obvious reasons, everything is going online, and it's actually really easy to send them anywhere because there's no alcohol in them. They're not water-based, they're not oil-based. I use an alkane, which is derived from ecologically, it's an eco-cert base derived from coconuts. It's palm-free. And it's really kind on your skin. It's lovely because alcohol perfumes, some people can find them really drying on the skin. Water-based perfumes the same, people can find them really drying, and this is just so skin kind. It's lovely. It's really lovely.
Lucy, I have a question for you.
Yes.
I've tried them for 1 week, and every day my perception of these perfumes changed. So as if they were completely 3 different perfumes each day.
Wow.
And does it mean that my nose is strange, or because you used all natural ingredients, it may change according to the pressure, mood, humidity in the air?
These are very much, I've used your emotions very much as a trigger for these. So your state of mind could just be changing them. Emotivate in particular is designed to tap into your limbic system, which is your system of emotional learning, as opposed to semantic learning. You know, your semantic learning is 2 + 2 = 4, and cheese goes in the refrigerator. But your emotional learning is, it's your hippocampus, it is your amygdala, it is those parts of your brain that say, no, fire is hot and it's going to hurt me. That's your amygdala. And then it's your emotional brain, your hippocampus is the one that says, oh, apple pie, grandma. So it could be your emotions are coloring what you smell that day.
Yeah, because in 1 week I couldn't choose one I preferred. So I think I will be buying all 3 of them because now it's not only to advertise your perfumes, but because I noticed that they really pleased me, but in different days, all 3 of them. So like the double shot is absolutely embracing, warm. It's like a plate, and you have a glass of brandy or cognac or something, really, maybe rum or something really.
It's cozy. It's
cozy and sweet and cozy. Some people feel coffee in it.
Yes.
I don't. It's licorice for me more than coffee-ish.
Yeah.
But it's
okay.
really, really warm and cozy. And a quiet trees is for the morning. You wake up and you don't want to run. I've never run actually in the morning, but when I when I try it, I think maybe tomorrow I will. So what about, Miya, have you tried them? I know, I'm sure you have.
I have. It's interesting hearing you talk about how you smell the coffee or what you smell, because I get different things. So that's quite interesting. To my nose, it's more caramel. It's gourmand, sweet, warm to my nose. But then you get something rum. I don't get to that. So it just goes to show how everything is different on everyone. Yeah. What your nose will pick up, and yeah, quite interesting.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
Sorry, I missed the first 15 minutes, so it may have got covered already. But what made you, Lucy, what made you go from the classic range and evolve into this range? What motivated you? What was the inspiration?
It was one of my bespoke clients, actually, who couldn't wear alcohol on her skin.
Right, yeah.
And she didn't want a perfume oil because she wanted that throw. And the base that I'm using, the alkane that I'm using, actually it's a volatile medium chain hydrocarbon, bio-based. And so it does have that volatility that alcohol has without having that drying effect. I mean, it's not exactly the same as ethanol, of course, because ethanol is incredibly volatile and that's what makes everything go whoosh. But it does have a measure of volatility in it, which oil doesn't have. An oil-based perfume will keep it very, very close. She also wanted to be able to spray it. And there was something she said, I don't want to just roll it on. I want to spray it. I want to feel that cloud of loveliness that other people can have. And so I started researching it, and I started researching water-based perfumes to start with. And the solubilizers that are used in a lot of water-based perfumes, some people aren't happy with either the way that they are extracted or the way that they're used. And so and again, you know, water-based things can be a little bit drying. So I decided to go back to the drawing board and see if I could find something that wasn't either. So I gave myself that technical challenge.
Oh wow, okay. Now I was interested because, you know, I obviously you know, I'm Muslim, so I can understand why, you know, we've grown up to like fragrance and always want oils and prefer non-alcoholic, you know, fragrances. You know, at home I'm fasting, so I would normally just stick to my oils or my perfume oils, which I know you know, have just come straight from the, you know, just the sort of, like, a
lot of people don't want to use alcohol for all sorts of reasons. As I say, it can either be because they find it a little bit irritating, or for faith-based reasons, or for other reasons. You know, maybe they are recovering and they just don't want to be reminded of anything to do with alcohol. So there are all sorts of reasons for developing it, and I'm very pleased I have.
Yeah. I mean, I'm flexible, but it's nice to have that. I like to have that option, you know, like if I go to the mosque or, you know, in the morning or whatever, then I'd rather wear that, you know, than wear, when I'm out and about, I'll normally just spray, you know, non-alcoholic fragrances. I mean, alcoholic fragrances, you know, etc. Or, you know, but it's interesting because there's another brand called Hermetica, which sort of say they do that as well. But in a different way, they've got a different touch to it. I don't know if you've heard of them.
No, I haven't. I'll look them up.
Yeah, have a look, because they say they plant a tree for everyone. Maybe I've said it wrong. No, it's Hermetica. Yeah.
Hermetica. Okay, I'll have a look at that.
I'm just getting questions. Someone is just asking a question before I forget. This one goes out to Sarah. They are asking, they said, Sarah, could you please talk about Shared and what is the story behind the fragrance, that they've worn it and 30 hours later, it's still on their skin. What is that? What is making it last that long? They are very curious to know. Sorry, I just thought I would say it because I forget.
Don't give away too much, too many secrets.
Yes, that is like top, you know, that's like, you know, top secret information. But Thank you so much for your question. Yeah, Sharad is like an extremely long-lasting perfume that was made by perfumer Andreas Wilhelm. He has a perfume brand called Perfume Sucks.
Ah, I didn't know that's his brand.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So yeah, it's so the story behind it is inspired by Sharad the film, starring Audrey Hepburn and Cary Grant, taking place in Paris. Hi, Sarah Colton. So it's kind of a very sophisticated classic fragrance, yet it has this kind of, I think it's quite contemporary as well, because it has this sort of leather armchair, yet like tuberose field kind of combo. It's sort of like, it's really mashes like both extremities of like gender, as far as I'm concerned. It's very, very male and very female at the same time. So I think that that's what's kind of ties it together, and it has honey in it. So it's a little bit sweet, but a little bit like a linear fragrance as well. I mean, I find it kind of smells, it's just a very consistent fragrance for like a very long time. Like it doesn't really have too much of like a beginning, middle, and end. It just kind of gets, it almost in a way seems to bloom as it progresses. If anything, it kind of like, you can sort of smell the flowers even more clearly as the perfume progresses. So,
oh wow,
I think.
I just tried it because Miya sent me some samples, so I can be ready for this talk as well. And I find it so yummy. It
is
fruity and a little bit boozy, but I think I feel booze everywhere. So, well, it's really pretty.
You do.
Yeah.
Someone just said to me that this fragrance, they see it because I don't know, going back to the movie, and I know, Sarah, you are into like the older sort of vintage vibe movies and that sort of thing. And going back, they said what they pictured was a man on a motorbike, like in a leather jacket, motorbike. I don't know. That wasn't in mind, was it?
Driving through the tuberose fields, like when they're ready for harvest, sort of a vibe. On a like a hot day.
On a hot day.
Sunset. Going to meet his lover, sort of thing. Yeah. I kind of was picturing Audrey Hepburn's like beautiful back garden and full bloom, and having Cary Grant over for tea, and because it has like a sort of a black tea sort of vibe to it. I don't think tea is actually one of the ingredients, but it has like it has this kind of sharpness to it that reminds me of like a hot cup of Earl Grey tea. And then that honey, that like added bit of honey, like kind of rounds out the sweetness. And it has just like a real sophisticated kind of old timey kind of feel to it. Like a sort of glamour, like a Hollywood glamour type of a feel to it, I think.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you for sharing that. If anyone who's here, if you've got a question for Lucy or for Sarah, please jump in. You can write the questions, or you can let Olga or myself know, and I'll either ask the question on Olga, or you can come on camera and speak your truth.
And Sarah, I've seen your stuff online on Instagram, thanks to Miya and Olga, and I think I saw you at Javoy, but we didn't get a chance to speak. So I'd like to really hear from yourself a little bit about how you started off and the inspirations, and because I always like the story behind the product, you know. So it'd be nice if you don't mind doing a mini intro. If I missed it at the beginning, I don't know, did you guys do that already?
No, I haven't really talked about how I
started.
20
minutes late, so yeah, so nice to If you don't mind someone who hasn't, you know, explored your, you know, your product, it would be great. Yeah.
So when I first got started, it was I guess about 5 years ago now. I had made a film, actually, that was a fictional film that was about this CEO, this woman of a fashion brand. And so I designed the logo for the brand, and I designed costumes and homewares. And actually, here's this sort of Rocco Rosso, here's one of the pillows, one of the props.
Like it.
So I did all this kind of like visual and storytelling and all of these props and all this stuff, and it was great. It was a really fun project, and I was very happy with the piece. But then kind of afterwards, just what had this emptiness, like I really wanted to actually create something that was a brand. And so I just kind of went around to art openings going, oh, I'm going to do a perfume brand. I'm going to do a perfume brand. And then eventually I bumped into somebody who said, well, you should go talk to my friend, Stephen Guntari at Lucky Scent. So I went, I was there anyways. And he said, oh, you should speak with Saskia Wilson Brown she just founded this organization called the Institute for Art and Olfaction. And I couldn't even believe my ears, because I actually knew Saskia since 2001, because we were both in art school together at the same time in London. And we worked together. She curated me into shows, and we showed together. And like, so we had this like relationship. Wow. So I called her up, and she got me started. And Ashley Eden Kessler helped me make the first 2 perfumes. I wanted to do a very male perfume and a very female perfume. And so we made Greek Keys and Leopard.
Oh, I love those.
So Sarah's got a leopard. I'm wearing leopard today, actually. That's my scent of the day. And so the leopard is kind of like sort of what Joan Collins would wear, sort of thing. I'm a huge Jackie Collins fan. So I love that kind of like over the top storytelling and just the kind of the 80s glamour of it all. And so I wanted it to have that like 80s power woman vibe, very much inspired by my mother, actually. And then Greek Keys is kind of like, you know, a contemporary Drakkar Noir sort of like, or what's that one, Blue is it called? Or I'm blanking the name. It's one of these like really big designer perfumes.
Chanel Bleu.
No, it's not Chanel. It's anyway.
No, the Dolce and Gabbana.
Yes.
The Dolce and Gabbana light blue. Yes.
Yeah. So, but it turned out, so I didn't know a lot about perfume at that time. So it turned out that I quickly learned that that like, yes, it's a good fragrance. It is good. But then I quickly learned, I was like, okay, I can't actually be selling these as male and female fragrances, because first of all, every single person who's bought Greek Keys was a woman who was buying it for themselves. So like that, it doesn't act like it's up to you guys. You guys decide. Yeah. So that was when I kind of really decided that everything was going to be unisex. And then my fragrances were all initially inspired by fashion fabric motifs. So Greek Keys, leopard, lace, and tartan, and they were all kind of like about what would those fabrics, what kind of places do they evoke, like what, or if you're wearing them, what sort of like a feeling would you get from that scene. So like, for instance, tartan is like in the Highlands, and you know, you've just gone for a long walk in the Highlands, and then you end up in a smoky pub with your first glass of whiskey under a tartan blanket, and it's kind of a really cozy autumn fragrance. And then I kind of kept on developing, kept on working with different perfumers, meeting loads of people in the industry. So, you know, met Miguel Matos, met Andreas Wilhelm, and loved what they were doing. Well, you know, Miguel was actually not a perfumer. And I met with him at Petit Fragrance, so that he might review my fragrances, you know, because he was a Fragrantica reviewer. And during that meeting, I did get to show him a few of my things, but what was actually much more interesting was that he showed me a few of his things. And one of the things that he showed me was Jungle Jezebel, which he had a different name for at the time.
Bottle.
I know.
It's a great bottle and it's a great fragrance.
My daughter said she'll let me take a picture, and when I need to use it, I should, but it's hers.
That is so sweet. It's like a doll.
Gorgeous.
But Miguel Mato said, so he presented me with like a finished fragrance. So it wasn't like we worked, you know, full disclosure. We did not work collaboratively on the creation of the actual fragrance, which at first I thought, I can't tell anybody that. But then I kind of came to realize that there are many different ways to go about doing things, and there's no right way, there's no wrong way. You don't have to have gone to school to be a perfumer. We all kind of know that now. And so you know, maybe as an artistic director, this was more like a found object or something like that. It doesn't have to have, you know, started from the, you know, spark of the inspiration. It can actually come about in different ways. So he showed me Jungle Jezebel, which at the time was called Streetwalker. And he was like, I think you're gonna love this one, Sarah. This is about a hooker walking down the street wearing a Versace handbag and eating a banana. Like, I smelled it and I was just like, what is this? It was like just the weirdest thing.
I love Jungle Jezebel.
I didn't like it at first.
There's a lot of jasmine in it.
Yeah, tuberose and jasmine.
I love it. Tuberose.
Tuberose, I think you're absolutely right. Forgive me for jumping in because I know this fragrance. I've smelt it and I love it and I think it's fabulous. And there's a couple of things that I want to say. First, the bottle's genius.
It is.
Second, I think you are incredibly generous and incredibly open-hearted to share that story of how you came across it, because a lot of people would kind of fit and say, oh yeah, no, it was me really, he just kind of, you know, did what I told him to do. And you haven't, and that's really, really generous and open-hearted, and I absolutely salute you for that.
Well, thank you.
And the third thing is, tuberose is absolutely, it belongs in the GIMP swing of olfaction. It's just fabulously pervy. I think it's wonderful. So
yeah. Oh, sorry. Just adding something about very shortly about the names, because I know, Lucy, 2 of your perfumes were renamed.
Yes.
I bought a set of your perfumes from Roulier White a year ago, maybe. And I was surprised to find this booklet in the set with completely different names for 2 perfumes. How did it happen?
Yeah.
Like 16e de Paris, what's that?
Yeah, 5e de Paris. Well, you see, I made the rookie error of putting a 5 in the name of my perfume, which the lawyers at Chanel didn't take too kindly for, even though it was 5e de Paris, it wasn't Chanel number 5, it was not using, it was named after the 5e in Paris, so I had to rename it. It was, Chanel had very deep pockets, and I, you know, you just don't fight. Listen, they had a go at somebody else because they had on their crest, their familial crest, they had 2 linked C's, which they've had since the 18th century, and Chanel went after them as well. So I mean, you know, this is what their lawyers do, and that's fine. They're protecting their IP. And then Cerf Blanc was called something else, and again, somebody didn't like what we'd called it, and I'm small, I don't have the money to fight anybody, so it was easier for me to reprint, repackage, and rename.
Yeah, but when I found out the original name of the perfume, it made sense, because it really smells like booze again. Whiskey, and it's really leathery, isn't it?
Yes.
So it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, Surf Blanc, I called it Surf Blanc because the on the Isle of Arran, the distillers, if they see a white stag, which is what Surf Blanc means, they know it's going to be a very good whiskey distilling year.
Oh, there is a long connection, logical connection to.
Yeah.
You need to know the backstory about it.
Yeah. So white stag, that's why it comes from whiskey distillery up in the Isle of Arran.
Yes, please make a lot of money, become really, really popular, because I will sell this as a document, a vintage.
That was one of the ones that must have slipped through, because when I first started, I had everything up in a warehouse for pick and pack and sending things out all over the place, and the warehouse went into receivership and all my stuff got kind of impounded, literally just when I'd started.
Oh dear.
Challenges.
Yeah.
No, you're. Oops.
Do you guys know Sarah Colton?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, Lucy. Do you have is your name of your brand Lucy Akhurst?
No, it's not. The name of my brand is La Maison Hedonique. I've got two actually.
Oh, okay. I get it. I got it. Okay.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Well, nice to meet you.
Lovely to meet you.
Yes. Okay. I've been watching you. And
Sarah, Maison Hedonique is in Jovoy, I think in Paris and in Paris as well, right, Lucy?
Yeah, in Paris and in Dubai and Doha.
Okay, fabulous, fabulous. Okay, because I follow you.
Oh, lovely to meet you.
Sarah wrote the book Bad Girls Perfume.
Oh, I have it.
And Sarah, you guys have to follow Sarah on Instagram. She makes the most delightful videos. Really, they are so wonderful.
Oh, and Maya, I was just answering your. You made a comment a little while ago on the page. So thank you. I was just getting ready to write it, and I couldn't find the address on this thing, so I had to actually go to Lucy's website to find this. It wasn't really on your website. Wasn't on your.
On mine? Oh, yeah, gosh, no, I should have put it in my link in bio.
Yeah, look at that.
Yeah, well, I just posted something yesterday. In fact, I spoke about leopard.
I know, I saw that. That is so amazing.
I enjoyed that.
I'm going to repost that video, Sarah. That is really cool.
It was for social distancing.
Mm-hmm.
I enjoyed that, Sarah. I saw that and I enjoyed it. It was so fun, such fun.
Thank you so much. I've had so much fun doing this. I have another
and
one.
Also this, you guys know about the jazz hands, the hand sanitizers. So Sarah also included, she did a wonderful sort of perfume sanitation video in the age of coronavirus sort of thing. It's really funny.
I enjoyed that.
Yeah.
Thank you. Oh yes, I have not received my jazz hand.
Oh no, I can't believe that. We sent it the day. We sent all orders the day. You know, it's just the postal service.
It's horrible.
I received. You know what I got?
Logistics are.
I got these wonderful soaps today in the post from January Scent Project.
Oh no!
Wow.
We sent them. Do you guys know about January Scent Project?
No.
Yeah.
No.
John Beeble, he's a perfumer who's also a reviewer for Fragrantica. And so he sent these about 5 weeks ago, and I just received them yesterday. So.
Oh, wow.
No, I figure I'm just using plenty of this on my hands. So, and when I use a lot of this, people either come up real close or they stay far away.
Yes.
But they're doing that in Turkey at the moment. You know, whenever you go and buy anything, they are sprinkling cologne on your hands when you.
At the market. Yes.
Yeah.
Nice. I saw that.
Well, it makes sense.
Yeah. Well, it's, you know, ethanol that we use in perfume is 96% alcohol, so it's well in the WHO guidelines.
Well, that was pretty much the argument that I used for the video that I did. I just said that perfume lovers were the safest people on the planet.
Absolutely.
Well, great. Well, look at you know, I'd love for you to see it. It was on my Instagram. There's a link to my you know, whatever website.
Yeah.
Sarah
Colton.
Perfect.
Yeah. Oh, I'm so glad to meet you.
It's lovely to meet you.
So happy to meet you.
And Olga, do you have a brand? What are you besides somebody who loves alcohol?
I will remain in the history as a person who loves booze.
No zdravie.
All right. How do you know Sarah Baker?
Actually, I met Maya. I want to say, is it Maya or Miya? I know I just want to make it
Miya.
Miya, okay. So I met Miya actually at Jovoy at Mr. Cologne's meetup. So I think I was late. So I think that's why I haven't met, because I think you guys maybe were there, but
we were there, yes.
Maybe they had just left, or it was at the end of the day, maybe when everyone was just leaving. Yeah.
But then Miya and Sultan and Mr. Cologne and Timberly as well, Mr. Cologne's partner, we all went out to have a bite to eat afterwards. So that's how we got to know each other.
Yeah.
I met Miya at that first Jovoy opening. Didn't I meet
you
there?
Were you there, Miya? Were you at the first Jovoy opening in London?
I don't know. I think not.
You may have been at the first birthday. You came to the first birthday, didn't you?
Yeah, it must have been the birthday.
I'm not sure. I don't remember. I've been there so many times.
She's too busy. She's too busy.
I've been there so many times when there's events going on. I can't remember, to be honest. But I know we had met at Jovoy, yeah. That girl that comments on your videos on YouTube, FabTrends by Miya.
Yeah, I really appreciate it.
Yeah, I enjoy the videos. Well, my daughter, after seeing yours, on the street with, the fragrance, she said to me, I think, Mommy, we should do that. It looks so much fun. You see, I can play the other girl.
Yeah, let's do it. But come on over.
Yeah, no, we are social distancing.
It's so much fun to be bad.
Your children are so wonderful. I just love that unboxing. I actually screen recorded a little bit of it, and I'm going to post that online as well, Miya.
Oh, thank you.
Your children.
They're watching.
Oh, your little mini me
downstairs. I want them.
Oh, nice to see you. Your children. They're so sweet.
I said to them that they have to stay with Daddy downstairs. No disturbing. Yeah, so as I was saying, so I know, like I said, Lucy, you just had your new house released. So, and like I said, I love double shot because I do love a bit of sweetness to fragrances, which I think is, again, the reason why I love Django Jezebel so much. It's nice, sweet, and that bubblegum. And I've said this before, it takes me to the time when I was young. I love that. And we used to have these bubblegums which smelled like that. And there were ginormous pink ones. If I can find them, maybe I'll try and get them just to smell them again and see how I feel. Anyway, so someone was just asking, do you see gender in fragrances? And this is the question from Mr. Cologne 76 on Instagram. So he's asked the question. I did ask him if he meant the question for Sarah or for Lucy, but I think seeing as we have you both, you may both give us an answer what you think in relation to gender in fragrances.
No, I'm all for equal opportunities. I don't know about you, Sarah, but I don't do pink or blue in my fragrances. It's whatever anyone wants to wear. I think a woman wearing a leather is fabulous. I think someone who is non-binary wearing whatever they want is amazing. And I think a man wearing a floral is just one of the sexiest things on the planet. So
lovely.
But I do think there is gender in fragrance. So for instance, when you say like that a man wearing a floral is wonderful, that's implying that a floral is feminine. Or
no, that's implying that he can wear whatever he wants. I mean, he can wear a leather. It doesn't matter. It's whatever you feel like on that day. It's just what your reality is in that moment, I think.
Well, I didn't mean that you said that like that I just mean that florals are socially known to be more female notes, whereas leathers are more leathers or fougères and aqua fragrances, colognes, those sorts of things are kind of more socially known to be masculine. So you can definitely smell something like a sweet fruity floral and think that's feminine. Whether it smells good on a man or whether a man chooses to wear it is aside from the point. But I do think that fragrance notes have been socially been derived to, maybe because of the cosmetics industry, like, you know, cosmetics and lipsticks use rose and violet, and they have done, you know, since I think the 30s or 40s. But then before that, rose and violet were, in like the 18th century, rose and violet was actually kind of more of a masculine smelling fragrance. So it was to do with what was kind of given socially. So I think
as I say, I agree with you that's absolutely fluid. And do I see gender in fragrance? No, I don't.
Yeah, do you know, from my perspective, like coming from the East, Middle East, you know, growing up, you know, my brother has an amazing Akhurst collection, and they're all floral. Majority of them are floral, and he wears them with pride. And so we've always grown up thinking it's for everyone. You know, there's never been that mindset that is male or female. You know, when I went to Medina in Saudi Arabia, there was an amazing Akhurst fragrance store. I walked in, and there were just literally just ingredients. There was no gender association. Men wear rose a lot in the East. Yeah. So I've never grown up thinking that way. But I find being in the West, and I'm a fusion of both. And the West seem to be more good at sort of putting it into departments, or it's just a thing. Like in Paris, I know in the old days it was always male and female in the old days, isn't it? And now things are changing. Like, you know, Joe Malone have come and it's all gender free, and a lot of brands the last 20 years have started to realize that. But from my perspective, I've never really looked at it like that. I just looked at it as a scent, like whether it's rose or amber, you know, or gardenia, whatever it was. So yeah, I think it's where you come from. It makes a difference, I think, as well as the location matters.
So, Chypre, for example, was created as a perfume for female. It was a female perfume and was associated with Aphrodite, right? But it's funny that in the Soviet times, so it was definitely a men's perfume, but also because they started producing really, really cheap Chypres, and they were used everywhere in the barber shops. So men were used to disinfect their chins and heads, if they shaved their head, with Chypre. So it was associated really strongly with the men, because mostly men were using it. So it's just a funny way to see how the perception changes with time, from Chypre by Coty, which was a really, really glamorous female's fragrance, to quite cheap barbershop cologne for macho men, but let's say. But I think also, sorry?
All about branding in the end, isn't it?
Yes, branding sometimes can be so tricky. Exactly.
Well, actually, and naming fragrances can be tricky in terms of gender as well, big time, because you know, if you have a kind of like slightly leaning towards I guess Western feminine notes, and then you give it a very feminine name, you kind of know that it's not very likely that men are going to, you know,
buy it for themselves,
be interested. or male leaning men, I guess you could say. Yeah, so I think naming and naming is also to do with branding and positioning. So I mean, for me, I really try to be aware of that when I'm naming my perfumes.
How about packaging for you?
What did you say?
When it comes to packaging, do you have a gender in mind? You can just say.
Hello. How are you?
Thank you for coming to say hi. They're super sweet.
Oh God, they're brilliant.
They were messaging me asking, can we please come and say hello?
That's really sweet.
Bless.
What about packaging? Yes.
No, I was saying about the packaging, like when obviously once a perfume is made, it's named, etc., and then you come down to the packaging. Do you have a gender in mind when packaging things? Because I know this for you, Lucy, doesn't apply because all your bottles are the same. And the same goes for Sarah, other than your collection, which is the motifs or the special edition. And for anyone watching, this one, you can still get it in the other packaging as well. So if a man wanted this and they felt, oh no, I don't want to buy a bottle that's got hairs and eyelashes, you still have the option. But anyway, I was just wondering if at all, when making these fragrances, you are thinking, how is a man gonna feel owning this bottle, or is it going to the woman?
Yeah, I think about that all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the bottles go very well with both ways. Sarah, I really do. I think, and Sarah designed her bottles. They're amazing.
Thank you.
I love this, the sun.
To trying your fragrances, Sarah. I've never had the pleasure of trying them. Whereabouts can one explore your range and when things open up?
We are still shipping in the UK, so and actually in the US. So you can go to sarahbakerperfumes.com.
Okay.
And then, but we also now are stocked at Lucky Scent, which is really exciting for us. So we have, I think they ship worldwide as well, which is really great. And they have our full collection. They have the hand sanitizers, and they have the full-size bottles. They have everything except for the sort of more artistic designs. Like they don't have the limited edition Jungle Jezebel or the original motif designs. But we still do have those all of those available. That because some people actually really still prefer the original motif design that Sarah Colton has there. That's a leopard.
The leopard. It is so cool.
So it's covered in.
As Olga said, I'm holding on to this bottle quite specially. So if she gets so massive, I will have one. I will have one. She's majestically like a queen. Look at that.
So Sarah, everything's in the US, the warehousing, the head, everything's being shipped from the US. Is that correct? Or?
No, everything is manufactured in the UK.
All right, okay. And
yeah, so here in London, in East London, with my husband, and I in my studio, out of my studio here. So, well, our studio, which is an artist studio that is also kind of doubling up as a perfume manufacturing house. And so that's what, at the moment, that's what we're doing. And so I ship big boxes of these perfumes over to a person in the US. So people who buy from sarahbakerperfumes.com in the US, they get shipped locally.
Right.
Just to avoid international, shipping perfume is complicated and expensive.
It is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And for delivery, and this goes to both Sarah and Lucy, are you delivering worldwide, or are there some restrictions to what regions of the world you can't deliver?
I don't know if Sarah has this, but yeah, there are restrictions. Perfume counts as a dangerous good. So it is a nightmare to ship. I am very fortunate that I have a very good relationship with DHL, who are fabulous. They were the only people who would take me on as a startup. Everybody else said, you need to guarantee us that you are going to be sending X number of shipments a month. And I just went, I can't do that because I don't know how these are going to sell.
Exactly.
And DHL were the only people who said to me, well, the only way you're going to get to X number of shipments a month is if somebody starts shipping them. So we'll help you. And so they've been superb.
You are able to ship worldwide?
Not everywhere.
Oh,
because not everywhere will accept dangerous goods. Not all countries will accept dangerous goods by air. So most places I can get to. I mean, I can even get to Afghanistan, should somebody want to buy from Afghanistan. But shipping to Australia, an alcoholic perfume, my non-alcoholic brand, can go pretty much everywhere. But shipping to Australia, I can't ship to Oz, which is killing my sister-in-law because she really wants some perfume. But they won't accept dangerous goods, alcohol on a DHL.
So if anybody goes there, please contact Lucy and take her perfumes and bring them to your sister-in-law.
Absolutely. So moving on, someone has a question, and this is Fro Lovely, and this is a question to Sarah, but I think you've already answered this one. But anyway, she's asking, what was the hardest challenge in creating Jungle Jezebel? So you've already spoken about this, but
it wasn't challenging at all. It was so easy and fun. I guess afterwards it was a little bit challenging when there was so much kind of like, I see somebody sneaking into your room. So sorry, distracted. No, afterwards when there was so much controversy over that bottle, you know, I read some very nasty comments about the bottle and the juice.
Really?
Oh yeah, the bottle especially, because I designed the bottle, so that was why it was kind of like, it hurt a bit more. You know, and I wanted to do good by Miguel, like, as well. And I think I felt like a responsibility that it was his first perfume, and he had a kind of a high profile-ish because of Fragrantica. So anyway, the perfume community knew who he was. So I wanted it to go well. And I was just kind of like creating a portrait of Divine, because when we came up with the name Jungle Jezebel, which is a song by Divine, and it really suited the fragrance notes. And I realized that especially, I needed a bottle. I was in the transition between, before I had those orange caps. So I wasn't there yet. So I knew I needed to just kind of tweak, to like, I could have put a sticker on the bottle and just used a standard cap and called it Jungle Jezebel. But I guess because I'm an artist, I wanted to make a portrait. I decided that, how come nobody's ever put eyelashes on a bottle before?
They put it on the car, and they haven't put it on the perfume bottle.
So and the wig, you know, like, it took a while to figure out how to, like, you know, get the wig to make sense and to work. And I worked with a seamstress who helped me, you know, to kind of manufacture those. And so she helped me to kind of figure out how, because the wig comes off, you know, and so I think it was, I guess the wig was the most challenging part. But I think what was hard was like being okay with this like super trashy, you know, but Divine is so trashy and it's so DIY, and like, you know, drag queens are like super slapdash, especially in the 80s. They would just like throw it together. And so that was like kind of, I was hoping it was like in the spirit of that, and that was going to be received well, which it was by many. But then there were so many super nasty comments.
You know what I've come to realize, and this goes to both you, Sarah, and Lucy as creators, sometimes all it takes is the one person to come out with the negativity and everyone jumps on the bandwagon. And I felt like some people, I wasn't convinced they were being honest with themselves with the things that were said, because I saw some of the comments or some of the reviews, etc., etc. And I thought that was so unfair. And like I've always said, if I didn't like something, I would rather not even just talk about it, because if someone is taking the time to sit down to create something, who are you to turn around and say, oh, that is so nice, that's vile, etc., etc. I wouldn't do that. Personally, I wouldn't. So
I don't do that, but
No, I think that perfume as well is incredibly subjective, and you bring your own history to it.
Yeah.
And okay, it's an uncompromising look for a bottle, but so what? It's fun.
Exactly.
And
I love it.
It's that thing that we all have this thing. I think especially as women, and especially as artists, and you are a true artist, Sarah, and you get this thing where you will hear the hundreds and hundreds and hundreds, thousands of good comments, but the one negative one is the one that kind of nibbles away at the back of your head, and you can't get rid of.
Yeah, the one that there is that one, and I can tell you what it is. I don't think I'll ever forget it. It's kind of funny.
Go on. Oh God.
It said, there's like a DIY. It's a craft store in America called Michael's, and so one of the comments was, "Give me $5 and I could go to Michael's and make a bottle like that." That was the one that was like. I actually replied to that comment, and I was like, I would love to see that. Actually, I would love nothing more than to see you for $5 recreate this. I'd love to see it. I'd love to see a replication of it. I think it'd be great. A knockoff. Let's bring it on.
Nonsense. You must never listen to people.
I'm going to have to leave. I'm really sorry, ladies.
Really nice to see you, Sarah.
Lovely to see you. Lovely to meet you, Sarah.
I just have one quick question. May I interrupt? I don't, Olga. What is your address on Instagram?
It's Perfumedaze.
Perfume. Oh, you're Perfumedaze. Oh yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. About that. And Anjam. What did you?
What am I? Who am I? I'm a brand consultant.
Yeah.
So I'm in the fragrance industry, but my Facebook and my Instagram is just Anjam Haling, so it's just me.
Okay, that's
so
easy enough.
it is on the screen, so there's only one, luckily.
Okay, thank you. May I take a picture of you all? It's just been so nice. I've got to go work. May I take a picture of you all? Anybody mind?
No, not at all.
Go for it.
This has been so cool.
Yes. Thank you so much for being here, Sarah.
Lovely to meet you, Sarah.
Thank you, Sarah. Thank you so much for stopping.
Bye.
Thank you for stopping by.
Bye.
Out of here. Oh, let's stop video.
Oh, bless.
Oh, lovely.
Lovely.
Maybe this is the time to speak about trends for spring and summer. So what of your perfumes you would recommend to wear in this period? Because I know that you ship and everybody can buy your perfumes online. You use couriers, so it's not the post office, sorry post office, but you're really, really, really slow this time. We know that you are overloaded with requests and parcels, but anyway, the courier is really, really fast. So your perfumes are available. And Lucy, what fragrances of yours would you recommend for spring and summer?
The ones that I did with Lady Carnarvon, I think are lovely and light and bright. Lorato is really sort of sparkly. And that I think has a very summery feel. 1793, which is the one that Olga loves, is a very fresh, very spring-like. It's very, Mia's got that one too. I've forgotten about that. And that's a very again, very light, very soft. It's not overpowering, and I think it's perfect for when the weather starts to get a little bit warmer, and you know, you don't necessarily want something heavy during the day, but it has a nice musk on it, so it does last quite a nice long time too.
It's quite green as well, like lovely green. Imagine being on the beach and there's that seaweed, the greenness. That's what I get from it. A lovely.
Yeah, it's got that nice sort of vegetal, that sort of green, because I wanted to do the whole rose, not just the nice kind of the pretty petals. I wanted you to have the stem, and I wanted you to have the earth that it was growing in as well.
Lovely.
Really. And Sarah, what about you?
I wonder, Lucy, I would love to try your fragrances, and I was wondering if you would be willing to do a sample swap.
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah? That would be
of course.
Okay, let's DM afterwards. Let's swap addresses. So for me, I think I've got two in mind that I'd like to plug. Atlant.
You took my word.
Atlant is like, it's for now. It's for spring. It's super sea. It's like a real interpretation of sea, as opposed to my second one, which is Greek Keys.
Yes.
These are interesting. But they're both sea fragrances. Greek Keys is like a luxurious yacht ride. You know, you're being served cocktails on the deck, and there's like sexy people in bikinis, and you're overlooking the clear blue water of the Mediterranean. It has that kind of luxury fantasy vibe, whereas Atlant is like real seaweed, loads of ambergris, lily of the valley, pink pepper, yuzu, but it has this kind of like, you've just gone for a swim in the sea and now you're on the beach.
Very fresh.
Drying on the kind of rocks. It has a kind of gritty sandiness to it. That is good for now, I think. I think Greek Keys is better when it's a bit hotter, personally, but I know people who like to wear Greek Keys and Atlant year round, day or night, but I'm more of a seasonal, I like seasonal and mood fragrances. I really like to kind of match seasons, moods. Those, you know, for me, it's like a wardrobe. You know, you don't wear you don't wear a fur coat in the summer, you know, so it has that kind of I think that's what is so great about having so many different kinds of perfumes, and having you know, it's kind of, we've gone away from what I think maybe 10-20 years ago everybody was looking for their signature fragrance, and maybe you still do have.
I love you for saying that. I love you for saying that. I think people should just chop and change. I think they should do what you know, as I was saying before, just be their truth in that moment. Can I give someone something for actually this moment, which we're all going through at the moment, which is lockdown, you know, self-isolation. And I would say the one of my fragrances that I would give you for self-isolation would be Quiet Trees from the Naikii line, because it was designed to give you the same feeling as going for a forest bathe, Shinrin-yoku, that they do in Japan. And
I'm just spraying it.
And it should be a very sort of centering, calming, and it uses a lot of the same oils and resins that you would get were you to walk in a forest.
Wow.
But what we miss, I suppose you do not miss walking in the forest because you live in it, Lucy.
Yeah, no, I'm terribly fortunate where I live. Being on a private estate, I am able to walk through the estate and not see a soul, which is amazing. And I'm very lucky, and my dogs are delirious because they've got us around all the time. So the dogs and the cats think all Christmases and birthdays have come at once.
Can I ask you both if lockdown helps your creativity, or it's just a stress and the anguish doesn't, the worry doesn't, just blocks your creativity?
No, I think one of the things that I've been enjoying has been talking to my friends who've got children, and them saying, the children are bored, so they're being creative. You know, they're making dens, they're making houses out of cardboard boxes, or they're playing with pieces of string, and they're creating. And I think there's a huge amount of creativity that can come from a lack of outside stimuli. I don't know if you agree, Sarah.
Well, I have a 5-year-old, and what I am finding challenging is like, I've decided to just, I didn't have to do this because he's only 5 and he's starting year 1 next year. And it's kind of, it doesn't matter if he can read or not really. But I have decided that he ought to learn how to read. So might as well do some maths too. Might as well, you know, my husband's like getting into science and not, you know, so we're kind of like, we've become teachers.
Mm-hmm.
So, well, you know, there's a lot going on. There's a lot going on. Sometimes I'm super stressed. Sometimes I'm feeling creative and I get ideas, but, you know, and I have a couple of things in the pipeline that I am working on right now that I am inspired, but I definitely find myself being a school teacher as well, and dealing with him and making sure that he's not going to be traumatized by this. So, you know, really taking it slow, just taking it really slow, and not being too stressed about having to do work, because that's what's going to probably throw things off the rails. It's, you know, we have to remain like a calm household. So that's our top priority.
Yeah.
Just to add on to that, Olga, you know, whilst everyone is been talking about how they've had so much time to be creative, do things, I'm like, but I'm busy. I'm so busy, because whilst everyone is off work and they can have all this time to sit at home and do whatever they like, I've got to homeschool 3 children.
Yeah.
So it is, we are doing it together, me and my husband, obviously, but because we've got 3 children and they are homeschooled, so every day we've got 2 classes for the 2 different children, because they've all got classes like every other day. They've got a class, but because there's 5 children, they overlap, so we've got 2 classes sort of every day. And I'm like, whilst everyone is thinking how creative I should be, because people have said to me, this is so much a good time for you to do, etc., etc. I'm like,
excuse me, this is the woman who is still posting videos. Can I just say that? She's homeschooling 3 children and she's still posting amazing videos and doing things like this. So, couple.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I just, you know, I want to be creative. And there are times when I'm like, okay, I wake up, I'm like, today I'm going to do, etc., etc., etc. So I've woken up, so I've done breakfast, etc., homeschooling, and then I get to the middle of the day, it's 2 o'clock, I've finished everything. I'm like, okay, I've got time. And I'm like, I don't know if I want to do this. So anyway, yeah, carry on.
Yeah, I mean, it's important for us to also take time for ourselves to
Exactly.
to just zone out, maybe watch a TV show or read a book or call your mom, or, you know, whatever. Like, I'm finding that I'm having to do that so much more than I did a couple months ago.
Right.
I never gave myself so much time to just be doing like just general self-maintenance, which means, you know, watching TV shows and calling my mom. That's what that means for me.
Yeah, calling my mum is a big one for me as well, because my mum is she's in her 80s, and you know, she fortunately, she and my father are both still very active, and you know, my father's going nuts because he can't go anywhere, and he's like a caged animal, and so my mother's having to deal with him. But it's lovely to, they're not close, as I guess, Sarah, your mum isn't close to you, isn't nearby. And so you can't have that physical thing of actually going to see whether they're okay. So like you in this time, I'm calling her all the time. And I'm just sort of, hi, you know, no news, nothing, just, you know, same old, you know, doing voiceovers from the booth and mixing up potions and doing my normal thing. What's going on with you? And then I find out that she and my dad have been literally dancing on the doorstep to bagpipes in their village. So yeah.
Wow. Well, I'm the same actually. I have to call my parents, my husband has to call his parents, and we have to make sure the children are always talking to grandparents because them live near us. So even that is busy enough. And in all this, we are like, we want to have time for us as well. Just me and him, no children. And so, yeah, and cook, it's nice food, not in a rush. So, yeah.
And we have a friend staying with us as well. Just after the lockdown, we invited our friend Richard, who is like my husband's and my adopted godfather. We adopted him and his husband a few years ago. And his husband sadly died 18 months ago. But Richard is with us because he's in the at-risk group. And so we just said, right, come stay with us. And so Richard has been with us since the start of the lockdown, which has been an enormous blessing for us because he's just fabulous.
That's great. That's so wonderful that you otherwise you'd be so worried about him remotely. Like, that's kind of, it's really nice. Yeah. And also that's one more social interaction as well. So that's
exactly, nice. which is lovely. And so you can go out into the garden and you can stomp around, or you can just go, Richard, help me. Because my husband, or you can say, I mean, it's just one of those things. And he's an extra pair of hands, and he's an extra being, and he's a lovely being, and it's just really lovely to have him with us.
Oh, that's nice.
That's awesome.
Lovely. So I think we've gone nearly to. Have we had 2 hours already or not?
Almost. Yes.
Almost.
Not yet.
Almost.
Okay,
almost. Yes. A tricky question. Do you wear perfumes of other brands, of other perfumers?
Oh yeah,
I do.
Yeah,
all
absolutely.
the time. Yeah.
Do you have favorites? Do you have favorites?
Actually, it depends. It depends. I love Nick Stewart's stuff.
Yeah. We are both me and myself. We're both big fans of his collection.
Yeah, I love his stuff. I love Santa Maria Novella.
Oh, wow.
I really love that.
We love this freshness.
Yeah, the Cuir de Coucy, I think is beautiful. That was one of my first discoveries when I went to Italy. I was filming, and I absolutely loved that. Fell in love, wore it to death. I wear Mela Harris. I wear Papillon fragrances. I wear Ruth Mastenbrook. There's a lot. There's a lot I wear. And there's a perfumer as well. I'm not sure if you've heard of her, but she's called Sarah Baker. And Jungle Jezebel is a.
You're going to be wearing those soon, because I'm going to send you some samples. So you're going to.
I've already got Jungle Jezebel.
Oh, you do?
Yeah, I've already got that one.
That's great. Wow, that's great. But I really love perfumes by perfumers who I know. But I know a lot of perfumers. I know a lot of really good ones. So I'm constantly going through sample packs. Sometimes I'm buying, I'm often up trying to support fellow perfumers by buying their bottles.
Yeah.
But lately, most of the perfumes that I wear and that I am kind of purchasing are those of people who I know. So at the moment, I'm testing Boudeau. Do you guys know Amanda?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So she gave me a pack of samples to give to somebody, and at Excellence, but we're not at Excellence. So I opened the pack, just going through it, because I have a pack of Amanda's, but I left them in the studio. Most of my perfumes are at the studio.
Thank you, Olga.
There you go. Yeah. So,
yeah, no, her stuff's wonderful.
Wonderful. And I also am testing some January scent projects, and I'm testing I have a lot of Sultan Pasha attars as well that I go through. That one of them I'm just wearing to bed every night. I find myself wearing it to sleep every night because it's just so comforting. I have loads of Sarah McCartney 4,160 Tuesdays at my house at the moment, so I'm going through those as well. And I have Francesca Bianchi's sample pack that I'm going through as well. So I'm constantly, you know, and I've got some Miguel's, some of Miguel's. His Scent of Veil was a recent purchase of mine, Scent of Veil 3, which is like such a bizarre, I think he's got some left. I would recommend it.
Yeah, the film differences, yes. Wow.
It's really fun. So do you guys know about his Scent of Veil project?
No, I don't know about that.
So they're basically, it's like it's the stuff that it's the reject pile from his, you know, so it's totally not INFRA compliant. He doesn't even know what's in there. But
all together.
You have to test it and, you know, see if you're gonna. I don't know if he does samples, but I test it on my skin is what I mean by that. To make sure that I don't have an allergic reaction, because I have had allergic reactions from some of Miguel's samples that he sent me. So that's how I know that, you know, if it's safe. It's because, as you mentioned before, like I'm not breastfeeding, I'm not pregnant. So, well, you know, I'm sure there are some risks of wearing certain things. I think, you know, every once in a while I'll smoke a cigarette. So, you know, it's sort of like, well, if
we're all adults
kind of amazing, it's, you know, What did you say?
I said we're all adults. We all make informed choices. So.
Right, exactly. So you just have, as long as you're not actually having like a itchy reaction, and if you're not an at-risk person or breastfeeding or pregnant, you know, which I'm none of the above. So I can wear Scent of Veil 3 without worrying too much about it, and it's fun. It's like a really weird pineapple-y, like floral that every time I smell it, it's kind of something new. It's like being at a fun fair. It's really interesting.
Wow. I haven't smelled it, but I know it's out. So yeah. Before we wrap up, a question for you both. Sarah, what is your favorite from your babies? I know it's not easy. If you can, which one is your favorite? And as well, which one is the best seller from your house?
So that's like constantly changing, by the way.
Oh.
It's always not the seller, but I meant my favorite of the brand is always. There are some times where I think, oh, I really don't like this one at all, and then a half a year later, it'll be my favorite again. So I have it's like I guess maybe I'm moody. I notice depending on the cycle of my menstrual cycle, it does depend. You know, it changes day to day what I like. Yeah. At the moment, I love leopard again. There you go. Okay. I didn't like it very much about a year ago. I was like, oh, I don't know, maybe I just don't like the spicy. Maybe I don't. Maybe it's because of the rose. Like I couldn't work out like what it was, or maybe I was just kind of had too much of it. That's one of the first perfumes that I had. So, but now I'm really liking it. I really love it right now. So I'd say that's actually probably my favorite at the moment.
Okay.
And my best seller is probably Charade and Greek Key.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. That's nice.
Lucy, what about you?
I'm like Sarah in that my favorite changes. It's a bit like which child is being good today. So at the moment, I'm finding myself wearing a lot of Lorato, and I think that might be because it has a lot of the seaside about it, and it has a lot of kind of ozone and fresh and open, and so that might be why I'm doing that. So I'm alternating between that and Quiet Trees, and they're both quite light and fresh. So I'm going for those a lot at the moment. And bestsellers, I've got two, and they're both incredibly different. They're oh my goodness, my husband's just come in, and he's actually just made madeleines.
These wonderful madeleines.
Yeah.
Can I have one? Oh, thank you.
Literally, these have just been baked.
Oh wow!
Is that a Proustian? It's a Proustian signifier, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. And and so the two perfumes that are the best sellers, 1793 has proved incredibly popular since it was done. In Sailly, actually, Je Vois sold out of their first batch, I think, in 3 weeks.
Wow.
So that went really, really well. But the steadiest bestseller of them all is at the total opposite end of the spectrum, and that's Surf Blanc, which is the really heavy leather whiskey one.
Oh wow!
Is it the one that Kate Moss is wearing?
Yes.
Surf Blanc, yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Do you think Kate Moss wearing that had something to do with it being a bestseller?
It was a good seller before then anyway. And then, yeah, I think the fact that she wore it, I mean, I don't know about you, but I don't have a PR company. So that was a huge surprise when I was called up by Harper's and said, what do you think about that? So it's I think it has had something to do with it, absolutely.
Just to add on that bit about the PR company, last night he said to me, I think these fragrances are underrated. They should be more popular. More people should be wearing them. We should be seeing them a lot more than we do. That's what he said to me. So I said to him, it's different because they don't have massive campaigns behind them to promote them to be on every billboard when you walk out of the house. And
No.
don't have videos, campaigns out on every advert you see on Google or on YouTube, on Instagram. So I said, that's what it is. So I think in a way, I feel like I'm doing my part to help for people to know about the brands. And we've said this with Olga and Lucy, we had this conversation before. People need to know more about the perfumes, your brands, because people want to know to try. They won't have the opportunity if they don't even know that it's out there. So hopefully even the tiniest bit of information will help someone. Like I saw Marcus on Instagram, he said, I only found out about the brand and he had 2 fragrances and he said, because you did a review and I saw your video, that's how I came about owning these fragrances, which I love. So if even the one person or 2.
Listen, it all helps. We're businesswomen as well as artists, and so yes, it absolutely it all helps, and we're enormously grateful. And I love talking to you two anyway. I think you're
we love
brilliant.
you. We love you both.
I really hope that I'll be seeing these household names and you just walk down the street. What are you wearing? Jungle Jezebel? Oh yeah, I love Jungle Jezebel too. I hope so. Yeah, but you know what? I enjoy your fragrances both because they are so unique, and I know I'm gonna walk out of my house, go to work, come back. Nobody, and I mean nobody, is even gonna guess or even have a clue whatsoever of what it is I'm wearing, and I love that.
But hopefully they're just going to say, oh God, you smell good.
I actually smelled somebody wearing lace on the train like a half a year ago.
Oh, wow.
I walked up to her, I was like, are you wearing lace? And she was like, yeah, how did you know? I was like,
I made it.
Oh my
gosh, what a moment.
I couldn't even believe it. I couldn't even believe it.
Wow. Amazing.
That must have been a really special moment, actually.
It was really amazing. It was really, I was a little bit shocking because I'm not in very many shops, you know, so it was a little, and I'm in no shops in the UK, actually. I have no stockists in the UK.
I don't know what's going to happen with retail in the UK after this. It's going to be a very interesting time.
Yeah.
I think a lot more is going to go online.
I think so. I think so. So in this case, I think it will do good to have more. And this is why me and Olga started this series, to just have people on, talk about their fragrances, just so that people know about them, because people can't go out to the shops. People, you know, so this is a good idea, a great idea, I think, that putting the brands out there. People can hear from the creators, because I don't know about you, Olga. I enjoy to wear a fragrance. This is Sarah's, this is Lucy, and I've met you. You've spoken to me about your fragrance. I love that connection. And I think I'm making, I said this before, I'm now making more conscious choices in my purchases. Like even looking back now, like from my last 10 fragrances, it's people that I've spoken to, people that I kind of have a relationship with. And I'm kind of looking to go in that direction where I have a connection with the brand, then maybe I'm more willing to support them more, because it's not special enough for me now to just go to Boots and pick up a fragrance.
Yeah.
That makes sense, because I mean, at the end of the day, Boots or Chanel or whatever, they don't need my money. They've got enough. You know what I mean? So if I can help someone smaller start up, I would rather do that.
Yeah, and we appreciate,
we
like,
really appreciate it.
Yeah, like every single sale is so appreciated. That's the thing.
Yeah.
Like, you know, you can buy something, you can buy a Chanel perfume and nobody even knows about it. Like, not that nobody who's earning money off that sale is like aware. Like, whereas with us, we get notified. We understand when there's sales being made, and if you're buying it from our retailers and they're reordering, that is fun. You know, that's even better, because
I mean, I had a lovely thing the other day where I had about a week correspondence with somebody when they wanted to decide which fragrance they were going to have in the sort of the try me sets of 4 that I do. And you know, he wanted them for his girlfriend, but he kind of was a little bit worried about what she liked. And so we had a whole conversation going back and forth. Go and look in her bathroom cabinet. What perfumes does she wear at the moment? Do you know any perfumes that she really doesn't like? And so it's back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. And you've got a real connection with somebody then. And that's brilliant. And that's something that you know, as you say, the guys at Chanel.
Yeah, exactly. You know, you walk in, they don't know, you know, it's so big. I would rather someone I have a relationship with. We can talk about the fragrance. I mean, sometimes you go to these counters, even the people at the counter themselves, they don't even believe in the products they're trying to sell. You know what I mean? So yeah. Anyway.
So yes, we're so happy we spent this
so
2
happy
hours
to have
with
you
you
on.
all, and thank you for sharing so much information and to have to be so fun to be with. And yeah, I think I speak for everybody. We just loved this 2 hours, and
gone quickly, hasn't it?
Exactly.
Yeah.
We got notice 2 hours. Yes.
It was so wonderful to meet you and to chat, and we, you know, thank you, I guess. If we'd done this at a meetup or something, would have been nice to meet you in person as well. But this, in a way, we got a chance to actually even say more, which was kind of nice. Yeah.
Lovely. I've enjoyed the session. It was so lovely of you all to come on. Thank you for sharing so much. And hopefully when all this is over, everyone has got some time, we can get together, and I look forward, maybe I'll come to your lab sometime. Lucy, we'll make it happen someday, I'm sure. So
we'll do it. We'll do it, Miya. Definitely.
Yeah, I'm in East London, so anybody ever wants to visit me in East London, I'd be more than happy to meet up at my studio.
Absolutely, we will make arrangements.
Yeah.
So I think we should call it a day.
So,
and thank you so much, everyone. Have a great rest of the Sunday evening. Take care.
Thank you for giving up your Sunday afternoon to talk to us. Really appreciate it.
Pleasure.
We got more than we gave. Much more. Excellent. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.